The parchment-faced old woman worked her thin lips into a crooked smile, rocked back and forth on her small feet, and said leeringly in a sing-song voice, "Well, ain't we lucky now? Here it is, a terrible stormy night, and the wind brings us a handsome young man and his pretty wife. You ain't afraid of us, are you, dearie?" Carol Lane retreated step by step from the old woman's gaze, seeking the security of her husband's arms. Alan Lane stood rigid, glaring first at the woman, then at the woman's husband, the middle-aged, gray-haired man who called himself Malcolm Converse. 2 hours ago, in a second-rate hotel in a small town 50 miles south, a hawk-faced, shrewd proprietor had leaned over the desk and said significantly, in an undertone, "Fulsome Folly, they calls that place, sir. And it's more'n that, I'm a-tellin' you. It's the only house on the road, and it's a queer, broodin' kind of place, with queer people living in it. On a night like this, there ain't a soul hereabouts as will go near it. More'n one person has traveled that road on wicked nights like this, with the wind a-howlin' and the sea ragin', and never come out t'other end. You two people be a-honeymoonin', I can see that. And if I was you—" The wind was howling now, moaning through the upper recesses of this strange structure like a voice in torment. A roar of not-too-distant surf beat a muttering accompaniment, as gale-whipped water foamed over at ragged rocks somewhere outside. Alan Lane wished that he had taken the hotel proprietor's advice, spent the night in town, but there seemed no good reason why they should not press on, and they had no intention of stopping at Fulsome's Folly. Only for the rising fury of the storm and a stalled engine half a mile down the road, they would now have been safely at their destination in the next town. Lane frowned. A strange house indeed, and it nurtured stranger people. Alfred the butler, whose tongue Malcolm Converse had told them was forever silent. Peter Vine, the caretaker, whose face was a floating, expressionless mask beneath tangled hair. Malcolm Converse himself, whose studied politeness was somehow suggestive of things evil and abnormal. And Nora, his wife, so small, so shriveled, that she seemed a child, yet in reality was old, very old. A strange house and strange people, yet only half an hour ago, when Alan Lane had stumbled blindly through the vicious storm outside with his wife sobbing incoherently beside him, half frozen and nearly blinded by swirling snow, the giant, gaunt structure had seemed a haven of retreat. Now he and Carol were destined to spend the night here. The storm had risen to even greater heights. Its sinister voice was a whining howl of triumph outside. Lane shrugged and turned to his wife, trying to hide his growing uneasiness behind a cheerful grin. He and she were not the only ones who had sought shelter in this sinister old house tonight. According to Malcolm Converse and the old woman, 2 others had been driven here by the storm. A young 6-footer, Jerry Cassidy by name, and his girl companion, both suffering from cold and exposure. Their car, too, had yielded to the howling sweep of the storm, had in fact careened off the road and cracked up, so that Cassidy had come stumbling to the house, seeking shelter, with a terrified girl in his arms.